Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja, California, sir. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
All right, welcome back to the Nick Fong Podcast. Today, I'm going to be doing the market report for first semester 2021, and I am going to have a special guest. Gary Massa is visiting us from San Diego, and Gary, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nick. Good to see you.
Good to see you also. And Gary, you're no stranger to the Cabo area. Why don't you tell everyone your experience here in Cabo San Lucas?
How far do you want me to go? But realistically, I've been coming to Cabo really more frequently, like the last couple of years, for personal and business reasons. And, as you know, but personally, I love the area a lot. It's relaxing. It's warm. It's sunny, pretty much all the time. I've been there only one time when it's raining. And I feel like it's somewhere that I'm passionate about enough to be able to want to live there, 50, 60, 70% of the time when I retire, which might be sooner than later.
And you sell real estate in San Diego, but you are also a licensed real estate agent here in the Baja as an agent for Ronival Real Estate.
That is correct. Yes. So I've been a real estate agent here in San Diego for 14 years now. We have a small team that operates up here. And then also, as you mentioned, a couple years ago, I started my business practices down into Cabo San Lucas, got licensed, joined up with you in Ronival team down in Cabo, which has been an extraordinary adventure. And other than that, so working on just trying to sell real estate down there as well, but help people from here in San Diego retire and or invest in a place that I've found great opportunities in and that I love a lot, so it's been a real natural progression.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about San Diego and the connection to Cabo San Lucas a little bit later in the podcast, but why don't we dive into what's happened the first 6 months in Baja and specifically in Cabo San Lucas to San Jose del Cabo and everything in between. Now, what is amazingly impressive is the number of units that have gone under contract in the first 6 months. So 907 units have gone under contract in the first 6 months in our MLS. And by comparison, in San Diego, how many units would go under contract in San Diego? As reported.
What's that?
As reported in your MLS.
Yeah. So the number of houses, I was trying to find that number directly comparison, but the number of units for the detached homes has been in San Diego County. Okay. So I guess I went a little bit broader, but it's 2,100 units. Wow. But that was in the month of May.
Oh, so you guys do a lot more transactions in San Diego. You have a more population. So with 907, just to clarify, 907 is just condos and houses from Cabo San Lucas to San Jose. Ronival Real Estate and our Baja MLS actually covers the whole state. And so areas like La Paz that Gary, Loreto, the East Cape, Todos Santos. But for today's podcast, I just wanted to concentrate more the Cabo San Lucas to San Jose and everything in between, 907 units that went under contract so far this year. Days on market, in the San Diego market, probably much like every other U.S. market right now, days on market. What is the average days on market this year for you guys?
So year to date, the average days on market for 2021 is 15 days. And that is actually half the amount of what it was last year. So it was on average over the entire year, it was 29 days. This year to date, it's 15.
That's crazy. So we're having a phenomenal year here in the Baja. That same days on market for 2021 is 261 days, which is a crazy number compared to your San Diego market. But by comparison, last year we were at 339 days. So we have significant reduction in days on market for this year so far. What was it like for you in 2019 and 2018 for days on market?
So days on market in 2018, it was 34 and 19 was 37 days on market. So we actually kind of had a little bit of a slowing coming in, or like a leveling off, if you will, coming out of like the end of 2018 into 2019. And like those numbers are definitely reflected of it, but then picked up again, and things started moving faster in 2020, believe it or not.
So what we have seen in the Cabo market is the 339 days on market for 2020. 2019 was 295 days. It was less than in 2020 because of the pandemic, but 2018, 412 days. So at 261 days for 2021, I mean, we're just crushing it with less days on market. More units going under contract. Gary, San Diego this year, what's the list price, sales price? What's that percentage looking like?
Well, Nick, and I just really quick before we move on to the next one, in terms of the days on market for Cabo, which is making it challenging to be like somebody like myself or somebody interested in buying in Cabo, is that properties there used to stay on the market obviously a lot longer, as you just mentioned, but now the good ones are starting to sell a lot quicker. So for people now that are getting interested, they see a building or they see a unit or a home down there, like they got to get on a plane and get down there quickly. Like there's no more like, I'll see it next month. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing that every single day. So, I mean, just kind of a note on that. But to your next question, you said the list versus sale price. Year to date, we are at 102.8% list to sale, meaning homes are selling on average over the list price by 2.8%. And in some specific markets, like zip codes, like that's a county-wide number, but in some specific zip codes or cities, it's more like 105%. I think I've seen 107% on average for a certain month. You know what I mean? But that number of 102.8 is countywide year to date.
And what do you attribute that to? Because that's definitely not our market paying over list price.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really a supply and demand problem. First of all, I mean, we are right now about 0.8 months in most markets in San Diego County of inventory, meaning there's less than 1 month's supply. And we also have, this sort of phenomenon has already happened in markets like San Francisco Bay Area and LA, where there's just a lot of people there and not a lot of supply. And San Francisco, even 4 or 5 years ago, was going through this like overbidding process. But as those people are now moving downwards to San Diego for one reason or another, they're kind of bringing that market with them. And because people are pricing properties at market where they need to be or where they comp out at, but because the competition is so fierce, people are coming in literally with like 10%, 15% above list price. That's the norm to come in. Like we're looking at list price and thinking, how much higher do we have to go? As opposed to like, okay, the list price is here. How much lower should we go to get a response from the seller and start negotiating? So it's an interesting negotiation tactic.
Yeah, just by comparison, our list price to sale price is 93%. So we're actually selling for, on average, 7% less than list price. Now, not 2 or 5% above list price, but by comparison, we've traditionally been 10 to 15% off of list price. Right. So we've compressed that in half in many cases. So there's less negotiation in our market, less market time, and less inventory. You mentioned 0.8 months of inventory in your market?
Yeah, correct.
So 0.8, that's like 20 days, 24 days of market.
That's right, of inventory.
Geez. Okay, so let's talk about average condo and house sales. So that's something that we sell mostly in our market, condos and houses, second home market. What does it look like in San Diego for you guys?
Yeah. So for the detached home prices, we're at countywide. The average number year to date is just under 1.3 million on average. So it's like 1.294 is the detached home sale price average in San Diego County. And then the condo or the attached home is at 658,000 year to date.
So check this out. Our average condo sale this year has been $524,000. So it's less than San Diego, which is what I would expect. But take a guess what the average home sale has been this year. Gary. You're
asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I wouldn't think it's this high actually, but I have the numbers, so I'm kind of cheating, right?
Okay, so everyone that's listening, it's actually higher than San Diego. It's $1,600,000. And the reason why is there's been a huge increase in luxury real estate sales. And the $1.6 million number is like off the charts crazy. I would say though, the majority of our sales are happening in the under $1 million price point. There's more volume. It's just that there's the ultra luxury real estate home sales, $5 to $10 million, as high as $20 million sales as reported in our MLS just this year. So I was actually really impressed with that $1.6 million average.
Yeah, Nick, I apologize. I think I was thinking about the average home sale price for just Baja Sur. Most of the MLS is expansive, right? And you pared it down. But I think the one thing that we're starting to notice, having this conversation is that the markets are becoming more parallel. You know what I mean? When you went back, going back just a second, you were talking about the average list to sale price. You were at about like 85% previously, this year at like 93%. Realistically, before this year, our average list to sale price was about 95 to 97%. And some of our upper end markets, like maybe La Jolla, Del Mar, were like maybe at 93%. So, I mean, maybe we're a year off in terms of like aligning the figures, but I feel like it's kind of growing in a sense where the markets are growing together with that uber luxury. And I mean, to your point, I think we had a quick conversation about that. The day that I was there in San Jose last for like, kind of hanging out by the beach all day, I watched like 34 private jets land in like a 4-hour period. And they were most of them were coming in to see you to buy a $5 to $10 million home.
Absolutely. In fact, just last week, we put one of those under contract. Shout out to Anna Casanera, one of our agents.
Anna.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment. So what does the inventory look like now in terms of active properties on the market in San Diego?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, active units on the market in San Diego right now, as of today. What's it look like?
I did active inventory for condos. Okay, so the active for condos was 990 active properties in the county of San Diego.
Got it. So by comparison, for us, we have 691 condos currently on the market, Cabo to San Jose del Cabo. What's interesting, in the first 6 months, we put under contract 582. So almost equal the number of units, condos on the market right now, we put under contract in the first 6 months of 2021. What about houses? How many houses are currently active in your market?
Right around 2,100.
Okay. So our market right now is 266 active homes on the market. But check this out. And this is a trend that we're seeing more and more, and why also the price of the house average has gone up. 325 sales in the first 6 months in our market. So we actually have less than 6 months of housing inventory in our Los Cabos real estate market right now. So it's phenomenal. It's what I see, 300 to 400% more activity in our market. Our business is exploding. The whole MLS is exploding down here. And that's just the first 6 months of 2021. I actually see for the rest of the year, this trend continuing. As some of you don't know, Canada just opened their doors in essence by allowing their citizens to travel internationally and return without having to quarantine for 2 weeks. So if they have been vaccinated, and I just recorded a video yesterday with Rick Parks, one of our agents on the Ronival team that's from Canada. And so we expect a very robust summer. Seasonally speaking, when does it get a little bit slower for you guys in San Diego, Gary?
Right now, actually, July, in my experience, has always been like a very slow month. It's kind of in the logic why I see that is it's in between the summertime. It's like a few weeks after school gets out. Normally school's getting out here like mid-June, give or take a week or two. And then like right after the 4th of July, it seems to really die down in terms of just people being around here or focused on homes. They're out having fun, enjoying the sun, traveling, whatever. And then it tends to pick up a little bit right, like let's say August 1st, give or take, for like, then we have kind of a rush for the next couple of weeks or maybe 6 weeks until school gets back in. And then we're like into our, like October tends to also be kind of a slower month. And then November and December, surprisingly, are busy months as well.
Okay. Yeah. Normally this time of the year, we're slow also, but we're going to have the best summer ever, real estate market wise, and it's going to continue throughout the year. How do you anticipate your market for 2022? A lot of people are asking that same question for me here in Cabo. I'll answer it, but I'll let you go first.
Thanks, Nick. It's a great question. I do wish we had the crystal ball, but if I had to really start to hypothesize what is really going to be happening, I do see a lot more, not a lot, but we're seeing more and more inventory coming to the market right now. I do see next year things starting to level off. I mean, we're talking about all the overbidding and all of the just kind of crazy driving prices upwards with like no logic, right? And I feel right now that the buyers in our market are kind of reaching that threshold of like, trying to remain somewhat logical and things aren't getting too crazy out of hand. So I do feel that there's going to be a little bit more inventory coming to market. And then with the buyer's mindsets, a leveling off in a sense. Like we'll probably still start to see some growth or still continue to see some growth in terms of pricing. But until we have like either interest rates go up, right, a significant amount, like maybe 1 to 2%, or a flood of inventory, and one might, trigger the other. But until we really see that, I don't really see a whole huge like pulling back, right? So 2022, I really feel it's going to be more of a level year, but I feel it's going to be like buyers and sellers mindsets coming back closer together. Because right now sellers are seeing properties sell for 15% higher and buyers don't want to pay for it. So that kind of inverse of mindset is creating challenges.
It's interesting because most of our clients are coming from the United States and also Canada, once again, now that Canadians can travel, and they're all experiencing what you're talking about in a real estate market. And it's almost like come to the Baja, come to Cabo, because you can get 7% less than list price. You don't have the multiple bids, right? And so talk to us about how easy it is, at least for you and your family, when you come down from San Diego to Cabo.
And I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Why don't you tell us all how easy it is coming from San Diego to get to us in Cabo?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And so we normally were traveling just out of San Diego International Airport and taking a general flight down. It's fun, whatever the case. It's still only 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 maybe. I think I timed it one day from my door here in San Diego to my door in Cabo was like just under 4 hours, like 3 hours and 47 minutes without stopping for tacos after you land. But like, but we've actually been flying out of Tijuana the last, handful of times that we've gone to Cabo, and it's extraordinarily convenient. Like, the first time you go, it's going to be like a little awkward and kind of fumbling through the process because it's unfamiliar. But there's literally never been anybody. I mean, there's a few people, but it's not crowded whatsoever. It feels kind of like a ghost town crossing the bridge. And I did a quick video on it because I was just so impressed with how the process was easy and whatever the case, showing people. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, you could do that. They didn't have any idea that there was a CBX bridge to cross over into Tijuana anyways. So we really like it. The plane tickets are about half the amount, they're definitely less expensive. And I mean, it's comparable to flying Southwest, which is a very big airline provider here in, the Southwest region here in San Diego or United States. And I mean, service is great and we land. The only difference that I will say that's like would let some people down, but like, how you fly out of San Diego into Cabo, you get off the plane and it's like this beautiful airport, the birds are chirping and they're pumping in oxygen and you get out and there's like tequila shots, woo, big party, right? And like, but if you fly into the domestic terminal, it's still a nice airport, but you walk out and it's crickets. You're like, okay. So I would say the first time you got to go in the international terminal, the second time, and then go into the domestic and just make it easy on yourself.
No, it's, I've done it once, and it's extremely convenient, daily nonstop direct flights from Tijuana. And, talk to us about why so many people from San Diego like yourself come to Cabo. I liken it to, it's very similar, but different. Talk to us about the similarities and those differences.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it has to do with ease of travel, right? So like we just said, it's 2.5 hours. The weather is obviously, even for San Diego, people come to San Diego and they say, oh my God, you got the best weather ever. We'll obviously debate a little bit, but I mean, like, Cabo, the ocean is warmer. You can swim in it pretty much year round, right? And the weather, whether it's the kind of the rainy season or not, it's still warm, like year round, And in like this springtime, you get a little chilly at night, but like the thing is, people love that weather, and it's so convenient. I think you can reach Cabo, pretty much from like Texas up to like Northern California. There's like that, kind of bubble where it's less than a 3-hour plane ride. And I think people just love that ease. But from San Diego, people come here to play golf, enjoy the sunshine, and see the beach, right? Or play on the beach. And Cabo is a very big golfing community. They've got beautiful golf courses down there that are in great shape. Like we just said, the beaches are warm, and it's a nice place to go and relax. And I mean, the food and the culture and everything else is just amazing. So I feel like more and more people are going, and it's just like that little paradise that feels like a little American island at the tip of Baja. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think people feel comfortable with that, even though they're traveling into Mexico or out of the country. It feels like home, especially if you live in the Southwest United States.
And you and the family are coming down at the end of this month, right?
Yes, we are. We're about 2.5 weeks away.
I know you and the family are getting real pumped and excited. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town, so I won't be able to see you. But you'll be back, of course. And what does the future hold for Gary Massa in Cabo?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I mean, realistically, I think as I've mentioned to you, as my business continues to change and evolve here in the States, like I obviously want to keep servicing my, clients and family and everybody here that I've grown to care about so much, but also helping grow my team and teaching them how to, build their business over time. Like, I think it's time for me to give back but I also like see Cabo as that place that I just want to be in more and more often because I love it there. And so ideally, helping people be able to invest and or retire into Cabo helps get me there more often. And if I can set myself up to where I'm there 50-50, 60-40, back, either way, I mean, again, it's quick enough for me to commute down there, just like if I was going to San Francisco Bay Area on a business trip, right? So either way for me, I think I'm in a good spot. And I feel like Cabo is going to be, I don't want to call it second or primary. I think between San Diego and Cabo, I'm going to be pretty equally housed here.
Well, Gary, I appreciate your time joining us for Nick Fong Podcast episode, a market update. And I think a lot of people are going to be enlightened by what you had to share with the similarities that San Diego has to Cabo. And for all of you that are coming down in the month of July, you might see Gary and his family there on the beach having tacos, enjoying a tequila. And
or showing real estate.
Or showing real estate. Exactly.
I think we're doing some video down there.
Excellent. Well, Gary, thank you for joining us. And until the next podcast, everyone, bye for now.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.